All right, welcome to the Ravit Show. We are here at Google Next. It's day three, and I'm super excited because I have a very good friend of mine, Logan. Welcome to the Ravit Show. Long due, and all the great work that you've been doing at Google. Obviously, we want to learn more about the things that you've been doing for the developer community, how you've been building the product. But just for our audience, would you like to quickly introduce yourself, and then we can get into a lot of topics, a lot of product announcements that y'all have been doing in the last few months and the ones that are upcoming.
Yeah.
But just for audience, a quick intro.
Yeah, of course. This podcast is 4 years in the making, so I'm happy that we got time to chat live and connect in person here in Vegas. And my name's Logan. I lead product for Google AI Studio, which is our platform for developers to get access to the latest Gemini models and to build with them. So really focused on for us at this event, really focused on seeing the developer community, bringing the latest models, new APIs, all that stuff, which I'm excited to chat about.
Fantastic. And I'm just going to dive right in. When you talk about, obviously, or think about, the core mission as well. What is the core mission for Google's AI developer products like AI Studio or, even Gemini API? What are the, what are you aiming that the developers can achieve, and how are you helping them?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think we're trying to bring specifically in our world all of Google's latest AI models across Gemini, across VO, across Imagine, which is our image generation
Right.
model,
Right.
to developers and make it extremely easy to start building. I think we have sort of products for enterprises, we have products for consumers, which work really well, and we're really focused on sort of the middle section between that of like just the long tail developer who wants to show up, get an API key, and start building something with these models. Like this is the largest platform shift in the history of technology, and I think it's super important that you don't need to be the world's number one developer. Like you can literally just like send a simple API call and access like truly state of the art models, which is super important for us.
Yeah, I love it. You mentioned a very important point about the developers. But I'm kind of also curious to learn a little about what makes the Gemini family of models distinct for developers when they are evaluating different models. We all know there are so many different models that they can pick. But also, what are your thoughts on that actually?
Yeah, it's another interesting question. I think historically we've had sort of a core value proposition for Gemini and for why developers are choosing Gemini. And I think historically that had been like long context. We were like the clear leader in with 1 million tokens for our Flash models, 2 million tokens for our Pro models, and then multimodality. I think we were sort of the first to launch native image inputs, native video inputs, native audio inputs, and the first to launch sort of native image outputs and native audio outputs, which has been really, really cool to see like the fusion of those technologies coming together.
Yeah.
I think the story has sort of shifted, which has been really interesting to see. I think now with 2.5 Pro, we're seeing sort of almost categorically across all of the dimensions, Gemini 2.5 Pro sort of leading in the space. So I think before developers were like, trying to find the use case where it made sense to use Gemini. I think today it's like actually probably for whatever the use case is, Gemini could be the most performant model for you. And I still think developers need to do testing and figure out because there's nuance to a lot of use cases. But I'm really excited about that sort of shift towards it being easier for a developer to answer the question like, should I be using Gemini? Should I be using another model? So I'm happy. Lots of progress on that front.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very good point in terms of how confident the developers are now with the 2.5 Pro model as well. One more quick question that I had, and this could be a little bit of the challenge for the developers as well. But how are you addressing developer friction points to help them build AI applications? How are you kind of looking at that part?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of empathy for developers right now because I actually don't think that building with AI is super easy. Like if you just look at
Exactly.
the space of problems, it's like everything from evals to how do I stop models from hallucinating to how do I make sure that I don't go bankrupt. My company doesn't go bankrupt providing AI for all these for all of our users. So like there's across the board problems everywhere, and I think we're tackling all of them in sort of different ways. I think like the cost piece, like we're on the Pareto frontier of cost and intelligence, which is really important. 2.0 Flash is like the best cost intelligence trade-off of any model, and I think there's a lot of work that we've done to do that. Before that, we had Flash flash 1.5 flash 8B, which was our 8 billion parameter flash model, which is like 3.5 cents per million tokens or something like
Wow.
that. So like incredibly cost effective. And we've seen like a lot of interesting use cases come from that. Yeah, so there's all these different dimensions of, we've done a lot of work with the Gemini models themselves from like a hallucination standpoint. So if you look at we have a facts, it's called facts leaderboard,
Yeah.
which looks at like how well the model is able to like answer like agreed upon factual
Very
questions.
important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gemini is doing a great job on that. So lots of these dimensions that we're continuing to push on, but yeah, there's still many problems to be solved, and that's what makes this stuff fun. Honestly, is like there's a lot of things we can still do for developers.
Love it. And when we talk about, obviously the use cases as well, what are some developer use cases you have seen that really, you know, show the power of Gemini models? Can you share something on that?
Yeah, this super interesting point. I think one of the timely ones of this is around the Live API. So we launched the Live API back in December, and we have sort of the general available version of it going live now. And for folks who haven't seen the Live API, aistudio.google.com/live, try out the experience. It's like super mind-blowing. You can share your screen with the model. You can talk to it. It has access to search. It can do function calling. It has code execution. So all this like really, really interesting use cases that weren't possible before. One of them is, and I think that actually at Next, where we are right now, the Shopify team was presenting about how they're using the Live API to allow like new merchants coming on, so like people who have like offline businesses who are moving online and like have no idea how to like set up an online business, and the Live API is like actually like guiding them through that process, which is really interesting and like not something that I think we thought about originally. But then there's also been all these like home assistant use cases, which are really cool. Like how do you do like, Google Home +++ with like all this like really interactive capability. So I'm super excited. Like there's a lot of new stuff coming out of the Live API, and a lot of new use cases, to your point, that we can actually build.
Yeah, love it. Love the, obviously the example that you gave about Spotify, 100%. That's one of the pain point for a lot of, offline customers as well, offline vendors who've been trying to, come on board. And if API can do the work, that makes it a lot easier. So thanks for that, Logan. Also, I know we spoke a little bit about this off air that y'all have been shipping very quickly and very fast with all the new updates, the features. Uh, I'm kind of also curious, how do you keep the feedback from the developers in the loop, and how does that help you all to get faster with all the shipping work?
Yeah, this is one of the things that I remarked to someone earlier today. It makes my job easy. Like I think developers send us lots of feedback. I think when you have sort of when I don't have to go and search for answers, the answers are developers are just telling us the things that don't work well. It makes life easy. It is this balance though. Like there's a lot of sort of like point in time feedback, which like it's like given in the vein of not knowing what the long-term roadmap looks like. And obviously we can't, we don't talk about a lot of the long-term roadmap stuff. So it is kind of this like tension point of how much do we, hey, the model's not good at this thing. Can you fix that right now? And like usually the answer is no, but like, cause we'll have a new model iteration, which hopefully fixes that. But I think that flywheel for our team is really important to get into the research teams in a lot of cases around the models. And I think it's already been super helpful to DeepMind to like have this level of feedback coming from developers.
Exactly. No, I love it, and thanks for that those insights. I'm also curious to know if our viewers want to get started building with, say, Google AI Studio. How do they do that today?
Yeah. Go to ai.dev, and which is our nice vanity URL, which I love. You can go to ai.dev. You can start playing around with the Gemini models. Do whatever the exploration is, try search, try, putting in multimodal inputs, try long context, and then you can one click get either go and get an API key, or you can get code and like get a code sample to get started building whatever it is that you want to build with Gemini.
Love it. One more quick question that I had was for the developers who are just starting with AI and want to learn a little about where should they get started. What's your advice on that?
Good question. I think try building something. I think there's just a lot of like theoretical stuff in AI, and there's like you could spend all your time reading papers or prompting advice, yada yada yada. I think honestly just like go and start trying to build something. And I think a lot of everything becomes more material when you have sort of the scaffolding in your mind of like, oh, I tried that thing, this didn't work. Now I kind of get why this prompting technique should be used, or this API should be used, or this model is better. I think having the experience sort of cements all of it together.
Yeah, I love it. And thanks for that advice. One more last question. I promise this is the last one. If folks want to reach out to you, learn more about how they can follow all the cool stuff that you've been building, and obviously helping how you all are helping the developers, where can they do that? Which is the best social channel to follow you? But otherwise, as well, for those developers who want to join the community, learn more about the newer features that are kind of coming up, where can they do that as well?
Yeah, so two parts. One, I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn,
Yep.
email, whatever your preferred medium of communication
Fantastic.
is. We also have a developer forum, so it's discuss.ai.google.dev.
Wow. Okay.
4 words, but it's linked in AI Studio as well, and developers hanging out there talking about all the latest AI stuff that we're up to. So would love to see folks there.
Fantastic. These are great insights, Logan. We can't keep the conversation going. I know I is coming really soon. Looking forward to all the updates. But such a pleasure to finally meet you in person and do this. And thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule at Next.
Yeah,
So,
thanks for coming
thank
in
you.
next. It was a ton of fun. Hopefully we'll see each other at I/O.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Such
yeah.
a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today.